P. Shout out to all of you wonderful deep divers. Shout out to everyone who's here, everyone who's diving deep. I woke up like this, all magical and fly, just, whoa, breathing in that good ass prana, baby. Raising the frequency. I feel so much better now. Raising the vibration. Sending you all tons of good ass energy. Take that, take that, take that. The cat down the road said you feel a whole lot better now. Look, deep diver. Shout out to everyone who's here. Everyone who's diving deep. I said it's time to go live. It's time to talk to the people. I hope all of you are taking care of yourself. I hope all of you are raising the frequency, raising the vibration. And, you know, I always say I've got to go live because so much is happening. You know, I make uploads, but the world we're living in right now, so much is happening so fast. I got to talk to you in live time, right? So I just want to say a big thank you to all the deep divers who've been rocking with Infinite Waters. Like I told you, deep divers, life is good. You know, despite everything that's happening in the world, you got to remind yourself great things are happening. So I said it's time for me just to, you know, vibe with all of you. I've spoken about a lot of different topics. We can talk about it. We can talk about it, you know. Anything that you want to talk about, we can talk about, because a lot is happening. And this episode, this live stream is really entitled, Get Out Now Before It's Too Late. It has begun. I spoke about the digital IDs. I spoke about all of these things which are on the horizon. So you better pay attention to everything that's happening. But deep divers, let's raise the frequency properly, right? Smash the like button, share the video. And let me say a big shout out to everyone who's got the brand new book, Feel Alive 2, Unlock Your Infinite Power by Ralph Smart. There's secret recipe to becoming your greatest version, 500 pages, now out on Amazon and at Ralph Smart and at ralphsmart.com/the-book. And of course, the good ass prana shirts, ralphsmart.com/clothes, spreadshirt.com if you're in America. Let me say a big shout out to Operculum. You're so appreciated. Sup, Ralph? Thanks for the content. You've made a video about World War III. Is there a reality where World War III doesn't happen for some people? Thank you. That's phenomenal question. Well, you got to remind yourself that World War III has already started. We'll talk about that. But you have to remind yourself you can raise your frequency, raise your vibration, raising the frequency where war is not even in your timeline. Slow motion this side. I said you can raise your frequency, raise your vibration where war is not even in your timeline. One more time. You can raise your frequency and vibration where war is not even in your timeline. But that takes a conscious, intentional effort, right? Because you see, the truth is people are at war with themselves. That's the truth. You know, people are at war with each other. And this is the reason why you need to get out before it's too late. Because you see, what happens to people when they haven't worked on themselves, when they haven't done the inner work, they're going to be fighting each other. And you're going to see that break out in the up and coming months. In the next 18 months. Before then, you're going to see a lot of things happen in society because things are boiling up. And if you want to be away from that, you got to protect your energy. You got to protect your family. You got to make sure you're not in environments which are going to drain your energy, suck your energy. And you want to radiate as much love as you can. That's the secret. Shout out to you. Let me give you a round of applause. You're most definitely appreciated. Shout out to you and shout out to everyone who's here, deep divers. We just started off the show like we just went into a little intro. We haven't even played the intro song yet. We haven't even played the intro song yet, deep divers. So once again, this is your show. This show is Get Out Before It's Too Late. It has begun. We're going to talk about everything. But first, where do we have to go? Put it in the chat. Where do we have to go first, deep divers? Put it in the chat. Where do we have to go first? We got to do something first. What do we got to do first? Put it in the chat. What have we got to do first? What do we got to do first, deep divers? Shout out to everyone who's here. What have we got to do first? We got to raise the frequency. We got to go 80s. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. We got to go 80s. Thank you, Mike. Mike had it right there. We got to go 80s. Deep divers. What's happening? How come Mike is the only one who knows that? We got to go 80s, right? So let's go 80s. Thank you, Mike. Let's go. I'm so happy. The whole world is just beginning. We already won. It's about us all. So many beautiful deep divers here. It's a choice. So happy to manifest whatever you want, to be whatever you want. It's a choice. Freedom is a must. We have to become the spoon. So we had to just start off the show, right? Once again, shout out to everyone who's here, everyone who's diving deep. I hope all of you are taking care of yourself. I hope all of you are raising the frequency, because so much is happening, deep divers, right? So, like I said, get out while you can. Get out before it's too late. It has begun. Okay, so, I put out the video on the digital ID, and they're rolling that out in the UK. And once it's in the UK, it's going to go to the US. Eventually, it's going to be worldwide. And this is something which you want to pay attention to, because this has been talked about for a long time by people like George Orwell in 1984. This is something which you should all pay attention to. Hey, Benjamin, thank you so much. You most definitely I appreciate that. Thank you for everything you do to make this world a better place, mentor. Is Almighty God bringing us chosen ones soon together? It's already happening. We're here. We are here. Let me give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. Benjamin Backer, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do to make the world a better place, mentor. Is Almighty God bringing us chosen ones soon together? Like I say, it's already happening. Right now, the awakening is huge. It's happening. More and more people are reconnecting. More and more people are coming together. They're putting aside their egos. They're really realizing the big picture. I'm excited. I'm also prepared. I'm also realizing we're entering a whole new earth, and it's happening as I'm speaking. You just happen to be born in a time where everything is happening at the same time. You got wars, you got digital ID, you got people who are finding themselves. You got so much happening all at once. And most definitely, chosen ones are finding each other. They're coming together. And that's what's needed, because you got to remind yourself. And I got a whole video. If you haven't already, deep divers, make sure you join the patreon.com/RalphSmart. I got over 200 exclusive videos which I can't even play on YouTube because I'm just diving so deep, and it's probably going to get banned, but you can find it on Patreon. And it's going to help you become your greatest version. Patreon.com/RalphSmart, and join the YouTube membership, because I got exclusive videos there too that are really going to help you become your greatest version. Really going to help you go to the next level, and you're going to love it, right? So we've got to remind ourselves right now, people are coming together, and this is the time for it. Because you see, if you've been diving deep for a little while, I always say that there's two forces on the planet, right? There's two forces. There's a force of fear, and there's a force of love. And I speak of the inorganic ones. And the reason why the inorganic ones became so powerful on the planet is because they work together. And you have a lot of enlightened beings on this planet, a lot of people who are awake and aware, but they don't come together. And this is the reason why we have to pay attention, because you see, the world is the way it is because the inorganic ones work together. And if you want a better new earth, chosen ones have to come together, and they have to put aside their ego, leave their egos at the door, because a lot is happening. I spoke about how in the United Kingdom, they are rolling out a digital ID. That's what the Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced. And it's not only happening in the UK, it's also eventually going to happen in the US. And this is something which George Orwell spoke of in 1984, that Big Brother is watching you, right? Big Brother is watching you. And this is the reason why you got to pay attention to everything that's happening right now on the planet. Because you see, AI seems to be great. It seems to be fantastic. It seems like, oh my gosh, I got an iPhone 17, right? A lot of people are excited with their iPad, their iPhone. But even with ChatGPT, you've got to remind yourself that it's all a trap. And I started to realize this in 2012, that as we move from analog to digital, the world would never be the same. And a lot of people right now realize that the world is changing so fast. And we've got a choice to make. We've got to get out before it's too late. Because you see, what's happening right now is that a lot of people are using ChatGPT like a best friend. And it's going to be your best friend. Ray Kurzweil, the former director of engineering at Google, spoke of the singularity, where artificial intelligence supersedes human intellect. And he said that's going to happen by 2029 or 2030. AI is already taking your jobs. Go to the supermarket. People are unemployed at an astronomical rate because AI is replacing you. And this digital ID, which is being rolled out all across Europe. Hey, let me say a big thank you to Kathy Dingman, right? Kathy Dingman, let me give you a round of applause coming in on the tip page. Thank you so much. Kathy Dingman, thank you so much for your tip. I love you so much, King Ralph Smart. Hey, I appreciate that. The cat down the road loves you too. You're most definitely appreciated. Thank you. So I started to see that in 2012, the world was moving from analog to digital. And right now, with talk of IDs, with talk of all of these things being rolled out, you have to pay attention. You know, this is not something to take lightly. It's not something to ignore, because this has all been in the works for a long time. A friend of mine, Aaron Franz, wrote a book called The Age of Transitions. And I thought he was joking when I was reading the book. I'm like, what is he talking about? And, you know, the book talks about how we're literally entering a whole new paradigm. It's no wonder why it seems like time is accelerating. It's no wonder why it seems like time is speeding up. It's no wonder why technology is just, there's a new phone every single week, right? It's no wonder why within the last 10 years, there have been so much technological breakthroughs, from ChatGPT to all of these things. Hey, Rob Lapine, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, Rob. Thank you so much for your generous support to the show. Let me give you a round of applause. Thank you. Rob Lapine, thank you so much. I love that. That's phenomenal. When the earth is ravaged, a new tribe of people shall come onto the earth from many colors, classes, creeds, and who by their actions and deeds shall make the earth green again. Slow motion this side. And that's the Hopi prophecy, right? And that's so beautiful, because there is so much to look forward to right now on the planet. It's not doom and gloom. This is something that you have to be realizing that this has all been prophesized, from the Navajos to the Hopis to indigenous tribes in Africa, South America, the Mayans. They've spoken about this time. Even in the Indus Valley, they spoke about this time, the Kali Yuga cycles. We've got to remind ourselves right now that the world is going through a monumental shift. And we all have a choice, right? To realize that, are we going to choose love, or are we going to choose fear? Are we going to choose unity, or are we going to choose separation? So, digital ID for a second. In China, they have a social credit score. In China, they have a social credit score. And like I was saying, in 2012, when I was aware that we're slowly moving into a digital universe, I said, oh my gosh, time is running out. You got to get out before it's too late. You got to get out before it's too late, because it has begun. And you got to remind yourself that all of these technological advancements aren't by accident, because they're following a timeline, what I call the AI timeline, where this has all been planned a long time ago. By 2050, this earth is not going to be recognizable. By 2030, it's not going to be recognizable. And that's the reason why you got a small window of opportunity to make sure you prepare yourself for what's coming and get out while you can. A lot of people don't even realize that everything is compounding, accelerating, and things are speeding up. A lot of people were shocked that they're introducing a digital ID in the United Kingdom, right? It's already in a lot of European countries like Estonia. It's coming to the US. This has all been planned a long time ago. And you have to see the signs of the times we're in. So in 2012, I realized that we're slowly entering a digital universe and everything is going digital. You know, once upon a time, you used to buy CDs, right? You used to buy CDs. It was a good feeling. Now everything is on Spotify, right? iTunes. This is happening for a reason. Once upon a time, you used to go to the supermarket, you would be greeted by someone. Now, no one's there to serve you. You got to go to self-service. So we're slowly being pulled into a digital universe. Hey, let me say a big shout out to Serious Fitness. Serious Fitness, thank you so much for the tip. I appreciate that. Serious Fitness, thank you so much for the tip. I appreciate that. So, no more CDs. Everything is digital. No more people serving you in the supermarket. Only self-service. No more cash. Everything is digital. This digital ID, which is being implemented in the UK, it's already in a lot of other European countries, and it's going to eventually go to the US and the whole world. You got to pay attention. Trump just had a meeting with all the tech executives, including Bill Gates. You should have heard what they were talking about. And there's a plan for Africa. There's a plan for Africa as well. And it's a whole worldwide thing to make the whole world connected in a digital way to a mainframe. And this is the reason why you want to pay very close attention to everything that's happening, because it's gonna affect you. You know what happens if is on your digital ID. So in China, if you misbehave, you get points deducted from your social credit score. You can't travel. They'll keep you in your house. So it becomes a form of control. Now, some people are saying, well, it's going to be convenient. Absolutely. It's going to be very convenient. Just like your Apple Wallet is very convenient. Just like not having cash is convenient because you don't have to carry your cash on you. It's convenient. But what a lot of people aren't realizing is that how many times have you gone to the shop? Sometimes you got to phone your bank because it's not accepting your card. That's what's going to happen with the digital ID, because they can lock you out of it. Your whole job history is going to be on there. Your health history is going to be on there. And if you don't follow what Big Brother tells you, you're going to have your rights and privileges taken away. This is the reason why Orwell was telling you, he was giving you that warning. Big Brother is watching you in 1984. Now it's starting to seem like everything Orwell was talking about is coming to pass right now, because he was a part of the Fabian Society. So was Aldous Huxley. You got to read books like The Brave New World. Let me repeat that. You got to read books like The Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. He wrote that there would come a time when men and women will come to love their servitude and will not want anything else but their slavery. So you got to pay attention. All of these people, Aldous Huxley, George Orwell, they were all part of the Fabian Society. They knew what was going to happen before it's actually happening. It's happening right now. And the thing is, everything is about security. You just saw what happened to Charlie Kirk in the US. So now that even changes presidential elections. It changes activism, because now what's going to happen is that any speaking event, they're going to have a bulletproof glass in front of them. Eventually, they're going to have an ID for everyone who comes into the vicinity, into the space. So everything is going to be controlled, because everything is about keeping you safe. Now, it wasn't a few years ago when that was the big slogan. We've got to keep you safe. So you've got to remind yourself that when you trade your safety, when you trade security with comfort, right? Or comfort with security, you got to be careful, because a lot of people get caught up in a trap, and a lot of people don't realize that they say, hey, I want to be safe. And you're going to be fantastic. You're going to be so safe that you're not going to have to worry about anything, because someone is going to watch you every single day. If you've noticed already that the internet can sometimes show you something before you think about it. Have you noticed that, deep divers? It's trippy. It happened to me like a few days ago. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Sometimes you're thinking a thought and then it just pops up on Google a few seconds later. Has that happened to you? I'm like, this is crazy. And it's because these algorithms are becoming so sophisticated. AI is becoming so sophisticated. It's now actually knowing what you want, what you don't want, what you like to eat, what you don't like to eat, what you like to wear. It's actually reading your mind. Let me repeat that. AI is starting to read your mind, but you don't hear me though. You better pay attention, deep divers. Get out before it's too late. It has begun. Justin Chavez, thank you so much. You're most definitely appreciated. Justin, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate that. Manifestation is at an all-time high. Manifestation is at an all-time high in the 5D. Absolutely. Absolutely. They know this and don't want to lose money with us escaping their system we fund. Woo! Slow motion this side. Slow motion. Say it again, Justin. Manifestation is at an all-time high in the 5D. They know this and don't want to lose money with us escaping their system we fund. Absolutely. You got to remind yourself, that's amazing that you said that, because it's always been about how powerful you really are. You know, Marianne Williamson said that your greatest fear is not that you're inadequate. Your greatest fear is that you are powerful beyond measure. It is your light, not your darkness, that frightens you the most. We've got to remind ourselves that a lot of people know how powerful they really are. You know, a lot of people, if they're given the chance, the right opportunity, they can literally manifest anything they want. I've done it. And I'm not even at 100%. Let me repeat that. I've done it. I'm not even at 100%. I'm just getting started. Just imagine if you were placed in the right environment with the right knowledge, you would literally be a walking god, walking goddess, a supreme being. And this is what people who've come before us have tapped into. They've reached a level so high, and we can all do that. We all have the potential to do that, but you have to remind yourself that there is a force that wants you to stop manifesting your true potential. Let me repeat that. There is a force that wants you to stop manifesting your true potential. And the way to get around that is that you got to remind yourself that nobody can get in the way of your greatness but yourself. Let me repeat that. Nobody can get in the way of your greatness but yourself. So along my early journey, they can always tell who are the chosen ones, right? They can always tell who is destined for greatness. And therefore, all of these stories in ancient texts, they speak of how it was one person in every family being a chosen one, the black sheep of the family, who really had the ability to manifest out of nothing and create worlds, universes. And therefore, these stories often depict people going and trying to find that child and kind of sabotage them, right? Kind of make sure they don't manifest what they're here to manifest. Make sure they don't carry out what they're here to carry out. Make sure they don't carry out what they're here to carry out. And you've seen it all throughout time where many prophets have come back. And the goal is to make sure that you can be here long enough to fulfill the mission statement that you know you came here to fulfill. I've done it and I'm doing it. But along my early journey, I had a lot of forces trying to make sure I didn't do it. You know, a lot of people are going to come distract you from your path. And it's happening because, you see, you got to remind yourself there is a force that doesn't want to see you actualize. There is a force that doesn't want to see you manifest. There is a force that wants to make sure you're kept in a sunken place. And that's the reason why you have to do everything in your capacity to stay as focused as you can to complete the mission. Let me repeat that. You got to stay as focused as you can to complete the mission. And absolutely, Justin, manifestation is at an all-time high in the 5D. Absolutely. This is the best time to manifest. You know, what is actually happening is that portals have been opened, you know, and anytime it seems like there's a lot of chaos on the planet, that's because on the flip side, there's a lot of manifestation happening. It's not an accident or a coincidence that you're having big wars happening. You're having a lot of instability in the economy. All of these things happening because these are the signs of the times. And on the flip side, you're having people find their true power. You're having people manifest like they've never manifested before. So you're having extremes. This is one of the Hermetic principles, law of polarity, right? The law of polarity. So even though it seems like in the Matrix, what they're showing you is destruction, chaos, and mayhem, that's the illusion. You got to remind yourself, manifestation is at an all-time high, and you have to be focusing on those stories as well, the stories of manifestation within your own life to see actually there is good news happening. Because if you can tune into that, anything is possible. You know, you've been tricked into thinking that reality is what they show you. No, reality is what you show yourself. That's slow motion. Slow motion this side. I said, you've been tricked into thinking that reality is what they show you. No, reality is what you show yourself. One more time. You've been tricked into thinking reality is what they show you. No, reality is what you show yourself. And that's the reason why you got to be careful right now on what you focus on. Because you see, you're living in a simulation. And the theoretical physicist, Professor James Gates, have spoken about how the world we're in is a kind of simulation. The physicists, they know this, that we're not in base reality. We're in a simulation, and more of this is going to be in the public's knowledge that reality is not what you think it is. You know, I've had Tom Campbell on the show. I've had other people who speak of this. And in this, you realize a secret that you can manifest anything you want. You've been told that, hey, you need to study this and work here and do all of that. It's all about making sure you don't actualize, you don't manifest what you're here to manifest. And like Justin is saying, they know this and don't want to lose money with us escaping their system we fund. That's powerful right there, Justin. Justin, I want to read your book. Justin, I want to read your book right now. That was a powerful comment. Shout out to Justin. Hey, Divine Flow, shout out to you. You're most definitely appreciated. Divine Flows. I love that name, by the way. Shout out to you. No religion, no race, no status, no color. One day we will all bleed red. Oh no, we are one. Oops. Woo! That was powerful right there, right? No religion, no race, no status, no color. One day we will all bleed red. Oh no. And this what you've just said, Divine Flows, is so powerful, because that takes a high level of consciousness, awareness to realize that. And I've been telling you this. You see, right now you have to realize that the word is awareness. They got people fighting in this matrix, left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. It's all a trap. You got to focus on the bigger picture, that this has all been designed this way to keep you separated. And the more you dive deeper into the occult, which means hidden, you realize what the secret is. That humanity is being played like a fiddle. And many great sages, prophets, masters have given humanity a warning that you have to get out before it's too late, because it has begun. If you've noticed, there's a lot of talk about immigration. And this was one of the reasons why they said, okay, we want to have a digital ID, right? They said, okay, it's to stop immigration. So you got to remind yourself that this is how the play happens. Because you say, okay, we don't want immigrants in our country. They say, okay, we give you a digital ID. So this is something called the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. And Hegel, the philosopher, spoke about that if you want to control a population, you have to create a problem. You got to create a problem. They react, then you give them the solution, right? So the solution is your digital ID. The truth is, immigration is not a problem. But because people were up in arms, now they said, okay, we'll give you a digital ID. So you got to be careful. Because the truth is, all of this has been a long plan a long time ago. And if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you know what time it is. And that's the reason why you have to be careful not get caught up in the crowd. You know, right now, a lot of people are taking sides. My side, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm Labor, I'm conservative, I'm Reform, I'm this, I'm that. All of that is division done by design. And that's the reason why you got to be able to transcend that. Because if you don't do that, you're only going to be controlled. Now, get out before it's too late. It has begun. You know, a lot of people thought that if you go and watch the film Demolition Man, because Demolition Man really shows you, or even the Terminator, John Connor, right? These kind of films, they show you what was coming. But especially Demolition Man. And Demolition Man, there's a scene where, he swears and he gets a fine. And they're having these Skype calls even before Skype. So they show you in the films way before it happens. And before you know it, you're like, how is this even happening? So you have to remind yourself that the technology that's in your possession is 100 years old. The technology in your possession is 100 years old. And once you understand this, you realize that it's already here. The technology that can bring you into the mainframe metaverse is already here. They're rolling it out slowly. It starts with your phone. When Steve Jobs announced the Apple phone, it was a great innovation, a phenomenal creation. But you have to realize that the iPhone was the start of it all, right? Because once you have a computer on your phone, you're now addicted to it. People are doom scrolling, spending hours on their screen, keeps you away from nature. And now your mind is occupied. A lot of people are spending 4 or 5 hours on their phone. They don't even connect with themselves. Now, because millions of people are living in the metaverse already, it now makes the digital ID more welcoming. People are like, okay, so you have to remind yourself that technology is phenomenal, but it's not given for your entertainment. It's not given for your pleasure. It's given because when you have a technological device like an iPhone, it's very easy to control you. A lot of people don't even realize that your phone can actually be turned on remotely. And once you dive into this, everything begins to make sense. Hey, Sarah, thank you so much. You're most definitely appreciated. Shout out to Sarah. You're most definitely appreciated. Shout out to you. So once you remind yourself that your phone can actually be remotely controlled. How many times, I swear, my iPhone, I turned it off. I came back into the room, it was on. I said, what the hell? Has that ever happened to you deep divers? Right? You turn your phone off and then it comes on by itself, right? Well, these things can happen because your phone can be controlled remotely. The camera can be turned on. So you got to remind yourself that at face value, technology seems fantastic, and it is as a tool. But the intention of technology is to bring you into a digital metaverse where you are a part of AI, artificial intelligence. They've told you in Star Trek. They've told you in Space Odyssey 2001. Stanley Kubrick told you, right? They told you, you know, when I used to even sometimes watch Star Trek, I'm like, these people, what are they doing? The writers of Star Trek knew exactly what was coming. They knew that everything is going digital. And this is the reason why there's still a window of opportunity to get out while you can. Because you see, the truth is, human beings are so powerful that it can only ever happen with your consent. Let me repeat that. Human beings are so powerful, it can only ever happen with your consent. Once again, human beings are so powerful, it can only ever happen with your consent. You see, what Justin spoke about, this manifestation that's happening, it is happening. It is happening in the world right now, in the 5D. You got millions of people all around the world coming together in Bali, in Ethiopia, in Mexico, in LA, in Germany. It doesn't matter where they are. They're coming together, they're holding a meditation, and they're creating this energy. And this is what's needed to actually create a whole new universe. This is the solution. And, you know, that's why I started Infinite Waters, because I said, okay, we need to kind of talk about this, because you see, the internet is changing. A lot of people don't realize that the internet is not going to be the same in the next 3 years. We only have a small amount of time to enjoy this technology the way it is right now. Let me repeat that. We only have a small amount of time to enjoy this technology the way it is right now. There is actually a software where you can actually have a digital avatar of yourself. You know, there are videos floating around where you can be someone else. You just talk, then it shows their avatar. Technology is getting spooky. What AI can do is getting spooky. You can clone people. You can clone their voice. You can do all kinds of things. And this is just the beginning. Imagine where it's going to be in the next 10 years. Imagine where it's going to be in 2030. So if you're not paying attention to everything that's happening, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. You're going to be in for a big shock, because it's already, you know, people in the UK are shocked. Oh my gosh, digital ID. And the thing is, eventually people forget and they get used to it. It's what we call comfort, because the digital ID is going to be very comfortable. It's going to be very convenient. You're going to have everything on there. You don't even need cash anymore. You don't even need your passport. You don't even need your driver's license. Everything is just on your app. So when everything is on an app, you're going to say, actually, this is pretty cool. And it's going to be very cool. Because you see, to get people hooked, you need to entertain them. Let me repeat that. And Kathy Dingman, thank you so much for the tip. And Indigo Jules, thank you so much for supporting the show. You most definitely appreciate it. And deep divers, smash the like button, share the video. It's good to be back. Smash the like button, share the video. It is good to be back. Indigo Jewel, shout out to you. Are you aware of this meteorite that landed in Panama? Any predictions on what that alien they found might do? I haven't even heard that story, but I can imagine a lot of things are happening right now. Up in the air. You want to pay attention to everything, because you see, the ancients knew as above, so below. And you have to remind yourself a lot of strange things are going to be happening. Some are going to be staged. Some are going to be real. I spoke about how there comes a point in time where every civilization reaches a peak and then it collapses and crumbles. It's the ebb and the flow. The Sumerian civilization came to an end. The Celtic civilization came to an end. The Greek civilization came to an end. The Egyptian civilization came to an end. And what you're seeing right now is a fall of the West. It's been prophesied because this is what happens when a civilization deviates away from the truth. This is what happens when a civilization becomes divided. It now implodes. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. We've already hit the iceberg. It's sinking very quick. And that's the reason why you can stay on the ship or you can get out before it's too late. Many people on the Titanic stayed on board because they said, okay, well, I'll survive. And you have to remind yourself that when a ship has hit an iceberg, it's going down. You got to get off and get out while you can before it's too late. And we're in a tipping point. We've reached the tipping point. Everything that's happening in the political world, Israel and Gaza and all of these things are really the signs of the times. Charlie Kirk, signs of the times. AI, signs of the times. Digital ID, signs of the times. And it's all about realizing that it has begun, right? And we've all got choices to make. For a long time, I didn't want to believe it. How many of you deep divers were like, I don't want to believe it. I want to be like everyone else. And ignorance is bliss. Forget about it. I just want to party, turn up. But you see, the knock is getting louder at the door. We can no longer ignore it. A lot of people have said, you know what? I don't want to know about anything. I'm just going to live my life. Well, good luck. Because you see, when you ignore everything around you that's happening, you become complacent. And you wake up one day and the whole entire world has changed. And you're like, what happened? How come no one told me it was happening? Because you didn't get the knowledge. And you have to pay attention that we're in a very critical period right now on the planet, because so much is happening so quickly. A lot of people won't even know what hit them. They're going to wake up one day, the whole world is going to be transformed. They're going to be like, what happened? But if you follow history has a strange way of repeating itself. If you follow people like George Orwell, right? And who spoke about Big Brother. And Big Brother is the digital ID. That's what Big Brother is. So we've been warned It's just that a lot of us, we're kind of thinking this is a joke, right? We're punch drunk. Hey, Atlantic, beautiful name. Shout out to you. Let me give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. Atlantic, shout out to you. Thanks so much, Ralph, for sharing your wisdom. How do you get out of the digital ID, especially if you want to travel? Well, once again, you got to remind yourself that it's not here yet. You know, it hasn't been passed in law, especially in the UK or in the US, but it is in other European countries. But you got to remind yourself that to get out of anything, it starts with people, right? It starts with what people want. You know, you get what you want. You get what you consent to. And if nobody sees that as an issue with it, then it's going to be rolled out and it's going to be, the rest is history. But if people say, actually, you know, what's happened on the planet is that people have forgotten how powerful they really are. And you see, human beings are very powerful, but at the same time, you have to face your fear. Because the thing is, how human beings evolved is that they evolved in tribes. And if you question the tribe, if you were the outcast, you would go hungry. And that's the reason why people conform, because they don't want to be kicked out of the tribe. During COVID and all of that, people did what everyone else was doing. They were afraid to question and stand up for themselves. Only a few people did that. Only the 1%. But majority of people just went along with it. So when digital IDs come, a lot of people would just go along with it because people are scared. And this is the reason why you have to get out of fear. You know, fear serves no purpose except lowering your frequency and vibration. Fear is 100 hertz frequency. And anytime you're on a fear frequency, you can always be controlled and always be oppressed and always be in a submissive state. Majority of people are afraid. What if I lose my job? What if I lose? And the thing is, you have to make sure you're vibrating on that love frequency as much as possible. That's the 5 to 8 hertz frequency. Or the peace frequency, that's a 600 hertz frequency. So if humanity can move to the love frequency, if humanity can move to the 600 hertz frequency of peace, then humanity won't have anything to worry about. But you got to remind yourself that it's not easy to be in a love frequency. You know, people talk about love, not realizing that it takes more to be in a love frequency than a fear frequency. Fear is easy. To move to a love frequency takes work. You got to say, actually, you got to do what Bob Marley did. Let's come together and feel all right. A lot of people don't want to do that. Still arguing, left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. All of this creates conflict, civil wars break out, confusion, mayhem. And you've got to be very careful because you see, with immigration being a reason why these are being rolled out, this is how people get trapped. Because it's the Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. Problem, immigration. Reaction, get immigrants out of our country. Okay, here's the solution. So that's the Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. So if you're smart enough, you can see the totalitarian tiptoe like David Icke speaks of. But not everyone can do that. And that's the reason why people who are now realizing, okay, it's getting real, you know, even what AI is doing, ChatGPT, all of these things, even how by 2030, your job is going to be up for grabs. You know, a lot of people think their job is safe. You better find something that can't be replicated. You better find something that can't be replicated. Otherwise, you're going to be out of here. And they've already got driverless cars, right? They got cars that just drive you around. It's already happening in LA, right? And it's going to happen within the next few years. Cars are just going to drive you around. No taxis. Uber is going to go out of business. Because you see, when Elon Musk spoke about the taxi that can drive you around, all of this is already here. They're just waiting for you to get on board. Robots already here. You're going to have one in your household doing your dishes. It's going to be fantastic. But what happens when they turn on you? What happens when the robots lock you out of your house, kick you out of your house? You got a robot in the house, but the robot says, hey, get out of my house, right? So you're going to invite them in, and then they're going to take over your house. You're going to have robots in your house kicking you out of your house. Right? Because you see, it can all be controlled, right, through a smart grid. And this is crazy, you know. It seems like science fiction, you know. It seems like RoboCop, all of these things are science fiction, but it's already here. In San Francisco, they got robot dogs, right? Robot dogs, right? So you got to pay attention, because science fiction is science now. You know, The Matrix, written in 1999, and, you know, they never actually said who wrote The Matrix. You know, some people say it was Wachowski brothers, and then some people say Sophia Stewart wrote it. But no one actually knows who wrote The Matrix, because if you actually see the credits of the film, they don't actually say who wrote the film. But whoever wrote the film The Matrix knows a whole lot, because the film The Matrix was actually a documentary where the machines are now in control. And it seems like a science fiction book. But a lot of people don't even realize that your iPhone is a machine which is controlling you. A lot of people think they're controlling their phone. Your phone is controlling you. Eventually, you're going to be under total control. You're going to be under total control from your phone. It's going to tell you, it's already doing it. ChatGPT is already controlling you. You don't even know it. Some people trust ChatGPT like it's their best friend. So just imagine what's going to happen in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. So you got to remind yourself that get out before it's too late. It has begun. You know, a lot of people thought that this stuff was just for nerds, right? This is just what they talk about in those science fiction films. That's that Star Trek stuff. Well, it's now here. Now a lot of people aren't laughing. They're saying, what on earth is happening, right? And a lot of people don't realize that if you don't pay attention, it's going to be too late. You know, a lot of people who are working in supermarkets who now don't have a job because there's a self-service machine, they thought their job was safe. They're like, hey, I'm going to be in this supermarket working my whole entire life. Now AI has replaced you. So you got to pay attention. Smash the like button, deep dive, and share the video if you support the real. Atlantic, thank you so much. You're most definitely appreciated. Atlantic, shout out to you. Thanks a lot for your answer. Last time you said you will do retreats again to meet in real life. When can we expect that, and in which countries would you like to do them? I would love to come. Absolutely. You know, I'm going to do a lot of retreats. You know, I did a talk in Costa Mesa, Orange County, California, and that was a powerful event. You know, I want to release the video soon. We're going to do more retreats, you know, and that's definitely on the horizon, because that's what the world needs right now. The world needs coming together. It needs unity. And it's already happened. It's already been happening, and it's going to happen more and more, because nothing is more powerful than when people come together who share a similar vibration and frequency. We can do so much. And it's definitely time. The world is so divided right now that you have to be very clear where you stand, and Infinite Waters is very transparent. We're Infinite Waters, baby. And a lot of people don't reach that place because they're stuck in a political party. They're stuck in a religion. They're stuck fighting against someone. They're stuck in a box. And now this awakening that's growing more and more, a lot of people are getting out of a box because they realize it's a trap, right? See, what's happened in the world is that people have become very aggressive and angry because of ideology. They're fighting amongst each other, not knowing why they're fighting. They're taking on board someone else's war. Let me repeat that. They're taking on board someone else's war. And this is the problem when you don't think for yourself. This is the problem with the hive mind. Now, how does the hive mind tie into the digital ID? You see, if you watch Star Trek and all of these films, they talk about the Borg agenda, right? They talk about synthetic human beings who you can control. And if you can control everyone at the same time, you can only do that in a digital way. Once you turn into artificial intelligence, you can be switched on and switched off. They can delete you like you didn't even exist. They can just say, hey, delete. You'll be out of it. And that's the reason why you got to get out while you can and realize it's on its way. It's already happening, right? This thing is not just some science fiction stuff. It's already happening. AI is actually an agent. If you talk about Agent Smith in the Matrix, that's what AI is. And a lot of people don't realize that, Agent Smith could morph into different people. His objective was to stop Neo becoming the one waking up to his true power. You got to remind yourself, people are less productive right now than ever before. Let me repeat that. People are less productive right now than ever before. People are more isolated right now than ever before. Birth rates all around the world are decreasing like never before. This is all because of AI. Because people say, I don't need other people. There's a breakdown of family for a reason, because people are more in tune with ChatGPT. In the future, you're going to see people get married to a digital avatar. It's already happening. So if you don't get out before it's too late, it's going to be too late. Right? Arpad, shout out to you. You're most definitely appreciated. Shout out to you. Arpad, shout out to you. How to be the main character and not an NPC? Phenomenal question. You got to remind yourself, being a main character means being aware, being conscious, being in your true authenticity every single day. Okay. Once again, being the main character means being aware, being conscious, and being in your true authenticity every single day. The moment you aren't authentic, you're living a double life, you're an NPC. The moment you aren't speaking your truth, you're an NPC. The moment you aren't standing up for what's right, you're an NPC. And there are a lot of NPCs. NPCs can also be turned into main characters. It's just that they have to have the courage to find out who they really are. A lot of people are NPCs. They can be turned into main characters overnight, in a few seconds, if they are willing to wake up. But we can all be subdued and kept in a deep daze, a deep dream, deep sleep, being an NPC because we blindly follow what everyone else is doing. That will keep you an NPC. It happens because there's a program to follow what other people are doing. We learn this from school. School teaches you to be an NPC. It doesn't teach you how to think critically, objectively. It teaches you how to be an NPC. That's the reason why a lot of people, when they finish school, even me, when I finished university, I was an NPC. Had to learn had to find out who I really am. I went to school, went to university, then realized I had to do it all over again. So you got to be careful, because a lot of people, they say, I got a PhD, I've got a master's, I'm educated. About what? Because the real education from the Latin word means to bring out, educare, right? So you got to remind yourself that a lot of people, what they know is just things they've been told to memorize and regurgitate, and that turns you into an NPC. Being a main character is all about thinking for yourself, having critical thinking, essentially having a mind of your own in a world where everyone wants to conform. Phenomenal question, right? So we've got to remind ourselves, that's a powerful question, because it ties into digital IDs. It ties into everything that's happening right now, where if you realize how reality works, if you realize the fact that more than likely we are in a simulation, you realize that reality can be altered. Reality can also be manipulated. You can actually see it on the internet, where you have a lot of people, sometimes bots, a lot of fake profiles, so you realize that just like in a video game, you can actually program NPCs to be in the background, and it's a lot of them, and they're just there creating distraction, creating confusion. And this is the same thing that's exactly happening in this world. Sometimes you walk around, you don't even know that they're an NPC. They've been sent there, they're a program. And that's the reason why Morpheus in the Matrix said, "Are you looking at me or the woman in the red dress?" Pause it, right? And he said, a lot of these people, businessmen, teachers, are the very minds of the people we're trying to save. And until we do, they're going to be an agent of the Matrix, right? So you got to remind yourself that there are a lot of NPC programs out there who are programmed to divide you, distract you, and get you off your path. But that was a phenomenal question. Shout out to you. Deep divers. Let me shout out to Josie. Josie A. Smash the like button, deep divers, if you support the real. Share the video. Oh, it's good to be back. I hope all of you are raising the frequency, raising the vibration. Josie A, shout out to you. Thank you so much. What if we just turned off our phones, Ralph? You can do that, and that's phenomenal. That's really a way to get out before it's too late. And I do that every single day because, you see, I've learned not to sleep with my phone on for a reason. I've learned not to sleep with my phone on because I need that peace of mind when I go to sleep. When you are having a phone on 24/7, a lot of people don't realize that you're now tethered to your phone, right? Sometimes you got your phone on, you're like, okay, who's messaging me? Let me check TikTok. Let me do this. Let me do that. It becomes a distraction. Not only that, you now become dependent on it. You're not going to know how to survive without it. And that's the whole goal of everything, to make sure that this will be your reality. Your phone will be your reality. Without it, you will have no reality. So this was all part of the age of transitions, to pull you into a digital universe where, just like without your phone, you won't have a reality. Without a digital ID, you won't even exist. right? And someone said it. They're like, hey, if you don't have a presence online, you don't even exist. Hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, they're right? What they were saying is that everything is digital, that the digital world is becoming more real than the real world. And you have to pay attention to everything that's happening, because you still have to choose your humanity. You still have to remind yourself who you really are, because a lot of people are going to get caught in the whirlwind of everything that's happening right now, and it's happening fast. TV is no longer in existence. It's obsolete. And the internet, the way it is right now, is also going to expire very soon in the next couple of years. You know, a lot of people think that there was a guy, I forgot his name. He actually designed the iPhone, and you got to research this, deep divers. He designed the iPhone, not Steve Jobs. He worked for Apple, and he designed the iPhone. He left Apple, and this guy left Apple and he joined with Sam Altman, who is co-founder of ChatGPT, and they're creating a new device, and it's not going to be your phone, because they want to get away from the phone. Like this phone is going to be obsolete in the next 5 years. They're creating another device where it's literally going to be like a ChatGPT device. It's going to be your personal AI assistant. They've already got it, but you're going to see people shift towards that. So you're going to have ChatGPT literally talk to you every single day. It's going to be connected to you, and they're rolling that out. You got to pay attention to what's happening, right? So technology is just increasing so quickly. And that's why I told you, get out while you can. You know, a lot of people were excited. They got an iPhone 15, they got an iPhone 16. Now an iPhone 17 is out. You're already left behind. So you got to remind yourself that if you're always trying to chase the latest tech, you're always going to be left behind, because it's always updating itself. Now with this digital ID, one thing you have to pay attention to is that it's already in other countries. It's in Estonia, it's in Germany, no problem. It's not in the US yet, and it's on its way to the US in 2026. And the goal is to have it worldwide, because it can only actually work through a worldwide system where you will be able to track everyone and know who everyone is. And that's the reason why if you have a digital ID for everyone on the planet, you know exactly who they are, and eventually you will know what they will be up to, where they're going. You can track and trace them, so you have ultimate control. This is the whole agenda of AI. AI is designed to control you into a digital metaverse. And a lot of people don't realize that it's already happening. So I had to say to myself, okay, I got to get out before it's too late. Because if we continue to get sucked into the metaverse or the AI world, we will no longer exist. And also, we won't even be in control of who we are, or what we're doing, or what we're thinking. Right? That's why Morpheus told Neo, oh, you think that's air you're breathing? So once you remind yourself, the whole concept is that they've always known, the people who are creating this have always known that they want to create an alternative timeline. I was in the park and I was talking to a Christian guy who was telling me how, you know, he was using his phone. And I always listen to people. And he said, you know, this phone is creating another dimension. And I said, wow, that's powerful. And I said, very true. You know, a lot of people don't realize that their phones are creating a whole nother dimension. The internet is creating a whole nother dimensional, an alternative universe where it is a reality for a lot of people. And it's becoming more real than real life. So get out before it's too late. You know, we've got to ask ourselves, solution time, are we honoring the real, or are we just being caught up in the illusion? You got to remind yourself that most of what you see on the internet is not actually what's going on. The internet is a hyper distraction and the greatest illusion ever created. What that means is that we have to realize a lot of people aren't who they appear to be online. A lot of people can show you things on Instagram. They show you a lifestyle, right? Everyone wants to flex on the gram. But once you go into their personal life, they're not living that life. So you realize that a lot of people have used the internet to create an alternative version of who they want to be. So the internet is more of a fantasy world than a reality world. What this means is that people can live out their fantasies. That seems fantastic. But what happens when people confuse fantasy with reality? And this is what's happening. So a lot of the times, people live out their alter ego on the internet. A lot of the times people say, hey, I want to do something to get the most attention. Because you got to remind yourself, money is not the real currency right now on the planet. The real currency is attention. If you can get the most attention, the most views, the most ratings, you can have in the matrix the most so-called money, right? So a lot of young children, teenagers, they want to get big on TikTok. They want to get big on Instagram. They want to be YouTubers because they realize that this can bring them fortune, wealth, and money. But at what cost? Because if they're being someone else, by the time they get what they want, it's going to be hard for them to find out who they really are. You got to remind yourself that I just stayed myself and was able to make it. But right now it's very difficult because the algorithms have changed. The algorithms reward shock and awe. They don't reward authenticity. Let me repeat that. The algorithms reward shock and awe. They don't reward authenticity. You know, a lot of people say, hey, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be... And you got to remind yourself that now YouTube has changed. It's not what it was. It was a lot better back in the day because you had a lot more people who were more concerned about being themselves. You had people, great content creators. Now, what's happened with YouTube is that all the news stations, they realized that no one was watching TV. They all got YouTube channels. So they saturated the whole market. And it became more about news than creativity. So you got to remind yourself that it's up to all of us to create a better world, a new earth, a world where you can be free with your family. Because what's happened right now is that the internet in its original conception, was supposed to connect people. But once again, when something starts out as a good thing, it can be hijacked into a bad thing. The internet now is about control. And the only way to override that is to remind people that we've got to come back to our humanity. Because the internet can be used for a force of good or a force of evil. It can help awaken you, or it can distract you even further. It can give you a platform, or it can take away your voice, right? So you got to remind yourself that There's a lot of censorship on the internet. What I mean by this is that if you go back to 2012, you could search something in Google and it will give you different websites. Right now, if you search something in Google, it only gives you mainstream websites. So everything has to be verified. Okay, this is a website we can verify. So that means everything you're seeing on the internet is controlled. Every website you go to has been fact checked, is controlled. And therefore, if you want to find the real information, you're going to have to dive deeper. Because the information on the internet is just the information they want you to know. So you got to get out while you can before it's too late. It has begun. It has begun. You know, a lot of people right now are realizing that not just with the digital ID, but also with the amount of people who are losing hope. And there's a reason why you're losing hope. Pay attention. A lot of people are now starting to wake up. A lot of people are now starting to realize that, gosh, Santa Claus isn't real. And this is often a sign for a turning of the tide, a sign where everything must come to an end for something new to begin. And it will hit you like a ton of bricks when you remind yourself that actually this has to end. The life you're currently living that's not serving you has to come to an end. And we've got to make space for a life that takes us to the next level. Now, I realized along my journey that if I wanted to go to the next level, I had to face my fear. If I wanted to go to the next level, I had to let go of a life not serving me. And that's why I said get out before it's too late. If you are living a lifestyle right now that's not serving you, you don't have to hold on to that. I know you don't want to let go because misery loves company. But you're going to have the power within you to let go, because if you don't, it's going to be too late. Some people have traveled to a new country. Some people have changed their job. Some people have changed their relationship partner. We've got to take a drastic change in our lives for a better outcome. We can't keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. We can't keep doing the same thing, living the same life, and expecting different results. We've got to be the glitch. That's the definition of insanity. Absolutely. So I realized this in 2012 that, oh my gosh, I've got to get out before it's too late. I was working in different jobs and I said, okay, I want to help other people become their greatest version. And we've all got to make that choice in our lives. Is what we're doing every single day really fulfilling us? Is what we're doing every single day nourishing our soul? And we've got to make sure we are doing that. Something that's nourishing our soul, because if we're not, we're going to be in for a rude awakening. One thing you've got to realize right now, deep divers, is that the temperature is being turned on. Not only with digital IDs, but with the amount of shocking news stories you see every single day. And you have to find a way to get out of the chaos. That's what I had to do. That's what helped me along my journey. Because a lot of people right now are arguing amongst each other. A lot of people right now are fighting amongst each other, not realizing that the moment you stop doing that, great things will happen. You got to get back to one humanity. You got to get back to realizing the big picture. Neo told you a world without rules, boundaries, borders, a world where anything is possible. So once we get back to that, great things happen. But it's going to take a lot for people to put aside their differences. So you have to be very careful in getting caught up in sides, Democrat, Republican, left, right, all of these things. It's going to divide you. When you are divided, you can always be controlled. So you got to remind yourself that the reason why you have a digital ID in a lot of countries is because you were complaining about immigration, right? So they say, okay, here you go. So you have to be able to realize that things are done by design, and you have to be able to not fall for the bait. You know, right now, a lot of people don't realize that the inorganic ones work together. And they are way ahead of humanity. Way ahead of humanity because they get the big picture. They realize that most people are going to fight amongst themselves. My party is better than yours. All of these things. And that's how you get divided and controlled, right? So get out before it's too late. You know, one of the things I've realized is that the internet creates false versions of reality. And pay attention to news stories. You know, if you can, just study news stories for like an hour, and you're going to see that they can create they can stir up the pot. They can put out a story that makes people hate each other. They can put out a story that makes you hate your neighbor. So you have to realize that the media itself is very powerful for creating a narrative which may not even be the truth, but is designed to keep you distracted, divided, and controlled. So you have to be willing to not just believe everything you see or read, but have critical thinking. And this is how to get out before it's too late. To have critical thinking. Always question everything. Because we're in a world right now where it's getting very hard to question, because a lot of people are just drinking the Jim Jones Kool-Aid. And you got to study the story of Jim Jones, who was in Guyana, who actually persuaded his organization, the Disciples of Christ, to drink the Kool-Aid, right? Which was laced with cyanide. Once you study history, you realize that these things can happen again. And it's only when you realize that actually you don't drink the Kool-Aid. You know, question everything, you know, question the official story, the official narrative. Because all of these things are happening by design. And you have to be able to have the critical eye. Because anything that you read is up for questioning. Right? Deep divers, get out before it's too late. It has begun. Like I said, that, you know, we're in a very transformational time on the planet. We're also in a time where you got to be careful of not always focusing on bad things that are happening. Because like Justin said, we are at an all-time high for manifestation. Never before have people known within themselves that this is the life I want. How many of you deep divers now know what life you want? Put it in the chat. How many of you are like, yes, I now know what I want? Gosh, it's taken me a long time. I've had to go through hell and high water just to find out what I really want in life, right? A lot of people have come to this realization about the life they really want. And this means manifestation is here. Manifestation comes with clarity. Manifestation comes with intent. Manifestation comes with authenticity. And a lot of people right now are manifesting because they now know what they want. They now know what they're worthy for. Before, a lot of people didn't know what they want. Now people know exactly what they want. And this is what we have to focus on. Get out before it's too late. One of the things about everything that's unfolding right now on the planet is that, and especially if you are a deep diver, if you are someone who has critical thinking, if you are a free spirit, there will be people who will oppose you. There will be people who won't get you. There will be people who don't support you. And this is going to be very hard for you. This is the reason why a lot of people will be sucked in to the mainframe. Because they don't want to be the odd one out. And the only way you can get out is being the odd one out. How many of you want to be the odd one out, deep divers? Put it in the chat. Do you want to be the odd one out or not? Right? I had to realize that it's okay to be the odd one out. I'll take it. If it can give me my freedom, I'll take it. It can be lonely at times, but you got to remind yourself there are others just like you. But that's what is required for you to get out before it's too late. Having the courage to stand alone in your truth. Then realize that there are other people like minds who are just like you. Now you come together, you build a community. And you got to remind yourself right now, we're in a world where you're only going to do it with a community. You cannot just do it by yourself these days. Because you see, everyone is forming tribes. The whole world is a gang. It's a gang wars are happening, right? And you got to find your tribe, because it's all about finding like minds. And you see, what's happening is that now we got some time before all of this comes into effect. It's going to hit by 2030. That's when it's going to be the point of no return. So you got 5 years before everything goes digital completely. And during this time, we can choose the direction of how things go, where things go. And it's an empowering time right now. But you have to remind yourself, you're going to have to put aside your differences. You're also going to have to remind yourself that if you think that you don't need anybody, if you think that I can do this all by myself, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. Now is a time where you're going to need other like minds more than ever. Now is the time where you're going to need community more than ever. Because you see, the inorganic ones already tapped in with each other. They're already unified, connected. But they know that there's a lot of big egos in humanity. That's the reason why humanity will never come together, because there's a lot of big egos around. Well, you got to prove them wrong. And it's up to you, humanity, right? If you can put aside your big ego, come together, work together, collaborate, build a community with other people, it can be great. If you don't do this, it's too late. You might as well say goodbye and good night. So we got a chance, we've got an opportunity right now to get out before it's too late by coming together. And, that's why I do these videos, to create a platform where people can come together. It's a phenomenal community, Infinite Waters, and it's going to always be. But if I had kept it all to myself, right, we would be cooked. We would all be cooked, right? And anyone that keeps things to themselves, right, they don't realize that you got to pay attention to the times we're in. We're in a time right now where if you don't come together, humanity is going to grow further and further apart. People are going to be more interested in ChatGPT than another human being. So we have to start coming together more than ever, because it has begun. If you want to know where this ends, take a look at China right now. In China, they got social credit scores, right? You can't do things against what they say, otherwise points are going to get deducted. And that's the reason why when that happens, you got no free speech. And you got to protect the First Amendment, free speech. You got to protect that, because once that goes, good night and goodbye. We're in a powerful time right now. We're also in a time where you have to realize that nothing can happen without your consent. Nothing can happen without your consent. We actually choose everything in this reality collectively. Let me repeat that. We actually choose everything in this reality collectively. That's the reason why you can't blame how the world is. We created it collectively. It's a collective agreement. So digital IDs aren't a problem if everyone says we accept them. Then that's what it is. So it's all about what people want collectively. So you got to remind yourself the collective reality is the collective agreement. And this is the reason why you can't get mad at people, politicians, and all of these people. They're only doing the bidding of their supporters. It's a time where you now have to start being your own leader. You now have to start being your own CEO. You got to start being your own boss. Because if you're always a sheep, you're only going to be led to the slaughterhouse. A lot of people don't realize that human beings are so powerful, but their power is also a weakness. You got this massive brain, which can compute at 1 billion calculations per second. Phenomenal things, but it can also be very afraid. It can curl up into a ball. It can be passive. And this is the reason why human beings, they should be living their best lives, but they're not. Let me repeat that. Human beings, majority, they should all be living their best lives, but they're not. Cats and dogs are more free than you. The cat down the road is far more free than most human beings on the planet. And I made a joke to someone saying that, a lot of people don't realize that dogs are gods. Let me repeat that. A lot of people don't realize that dogs are gods. As soon as a dog wakes up, the owner says, "Let me cuddle you." Let me take you for a walk. Come home, have a nap. Let me give you some food. So dogs are gods. So you got to remind yourself that human beings are way, way down the ladder. Way down the ladder. So you got to remind yourself that most animals are having a better life than you. Most animals are having a better life than you. Most dogs are having a better life than you. Most cats are having a better life than you. What do cats do? They're having a great life. You know, the cat down the road is having a great life. Right? So we got to remind ourselves that the reason why animals are more free than human beings right now is because they're in tune with who they really are. And that's why if human beings become more in tune with who they really are, great things can happen. You see, cats, you can't take a cat for a walk. It doesn't want to go for a walk. It wants to do a little samba, baby. A cat will do whatever it wants to do, right? And that's the reason why cats are still free. The cat down the road is very free. Deep divers, smash the like button right now. Share the video. Smash the like button right now. Share the video. Shout out to everyone who's here. Smash the like button right now. Share the video. Shout out to everyone who's here. Everyone who's... Oh, we're having fun right now. It's good to be back. Pro Site Designs, thank you so much. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate that. Pro Site Design, shout out to you. Thank you, Ralph, for listening to your advice. Helped me form a business and led me a step closer to financial freedom. God bless you and the cat down the road. Hey, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's what it's always about. You know, I always say that don't get it twisted. You know, you're here to manifest as much abundance as possible. You know, that's what we all have to remind ourselves of, because abundance is actually the natural state of affairs in the universe. And the more you align with abundance, the better your life will be. You know, we got to start having a more abundant mindset, and Pro Site Designs is doing that, you know, and that's what it's always about, you know, because that's where the magic happens. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. Get out while you can. Deep divers, it has begun. If you're just joining us, we're talking about how not only digital IDs, technological advancements, ChatGPT, AI things are accelerating on the planet. And a lot of people don't realize that one day you're going to wake up and you're going to have a social credit score. It seems like science fiction, but it's already in operation. So you have to get out while you can. Get out while it's possible, because it's all happening and very fast. A lot of people in the UK were shocked that a digital ID will be rolled out soon. A lot of people right now are realizing that George Orwell was right. I always recommend everyone to read 1984. I always recommend everyone to read 1984. One more time. I always recommend everyone to read 1984. So if you can remind yourself that actually all is not lost when you have knowledge, when you have the right information, that this isn't slowing down. This is only going to accelerate. And more and more of your freedoms are going to be taken away unless you do something about it. It's not a matter of being scared. It's a matter of being empowered. Right? Fear is what got us into this position in the first place, right? Fear is what got you into this position in the first place. It's what got humanity collectively into this position. Once again, it all goes back thousands of years ago. Once upon a time, humanity lived like gods. And that's even why they tell you in the Bible, ye are gods, right? Once upon a time, people were walking gods. But slowly, they lost their powers. And how they lost their powers was through greed, ego, complacency, ignorance, and being at war with each other. And there's a reason why wars are happening every single day. Do you know that trillions of dollars are spent on war? All of that money could end world hunger in one day. Think about that. So you got to remind yourself that you have to really take a big look around how the world works. That there's always a war happening for a reason. Because war is a business. And it creates profit. So we're in a powerful time right now where a lot of people are now starting to wake up. All is not lost. Let me tell you this, that no one, just like in the film Leave the World Behind, another great film, Julia Roberts, Leave the World Behind. And in that film, they were also giving you a warning about what's coming, about how to prepare yourself. You see, if you have everyone connected to a digital system, what happens when it goes down? And this is the reason why there have been cyber attacks in airports, cyber attacks. If the internet goes down, which it will again, you got to make sure you're going to be okay. Shout out to you, Real Time. Real Time, God bless you, Ralph. This man sees the truth. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. So you got to remind yourself that we're in a time right now where you got to get out while you can before it's too late. And know that you're protected. I'm always protected. You don't have to worry about me. Universe has got my back. Cat down the road has got your back, deep divers, right? But you have to remind yourself, like the Arabic word maktub says, it was written. Everything has already been written. And if you can know this, you realize that this is amazing. Everyone here is here to fulfill a different mission, a different role. And you've got to know what that is. But you always want to be choosing love, not fear. That's what I had to do. To realize that actually, once you are in your truth, you're always going to be protected. You got to remind yourself, deep divers, that I grew up playing video games. Sometimes I would love Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all of that. But I stopped playing video games because I realized I got a mission to do. Nothing wrong with video games, but I said, if I was playing video games, there would be no Infinite Waters because I really get into games. So I had a choice to make. So you got to remind yourself, we're in a time right now where if you are on this live stream, thank you so much for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here. And that shows that you're on that frequency. We're in a time right now where someone is going to be tapped into something. I canceled my Netflix subscription last year. I canceled my Netflix subscription last year. You know why? Because I said, ain't nobody got time for that. I gotta tap into myself, right? Now, don't get it twisted. I love movies. I love, watching different things, but I got to tune into this information. I got to tune into this information right now because so much is happening. And you've got to ask yourself, are you still trapped in something where you can't really manifest your true potential? Because all of these things are going to pull you in. They're going to suck you in. And now you're going to be docile. You're not going to be in your true power to do what you're here to do. It's going to put you to sleep. You got people who are on a website right now. They're there for 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. You don't even know what that website is. I don't even know what it is, but they're there. They're entertained. They're having a great time. So you got to remind yourself that in this digital universe, people are plugged into different things. And that's the reason why you got to continue to live your truth, because most people aren't paying attention to you. We think that people are paying attention to us. No, many are called, few are chosen. If you're here for a reason. If you're not, you're somewhere else doing whatever you have to do. So you have to realize that people are going to be where they are vibrationally. Let me repeat that. People are going to be where they are vibrationally. No one is going to listen to what you have to say unless they are there vibrationally. Let me repeat that. Nobody is going to listen to what you have to say unless they are there vibrationally. How many times, deep divers, have you been talking, diving deep, and then someone is listening in, maybe a friend or a relative? They're like, you know why they're listening in? Because they want to move to that vibration. Sometimes you're with your friends, you talk about something, they're like, oh, tell me more, because they want to move to that vibration. That's a good sign. But if people ain't listening, it's not for them. It's not personal. Let them move on. We're in this kind of world right now. We're not in a world where you need to convince people. You need to start, hey, listen. Nah, people are going to listen to what they vibrate with. People are going to listen to what they vibrate with. If they don't vibrate with it, they're not going to listen to it. It's just like you go on Twitch, you got millions of people live streaming. If it's not for you, you ain't going to watch it. If it is for you, you're going to watch it. So we got to remind ourselves, we're in a world right now where you have to find out what you're vibrating with, and you got to go there unapologetically. You got to remind yourself, this is not the time to start converting people, convincing people. This is the time to find your tribe and keep it moving. Because we are in a time right now where long gone are the days where you can try and talk to people, and now people have already made up their minds. People have already made the choices they want to make for themselves. Now all you got to do is focus on yourself and talk to your soul tribe. That's all. Right? Real time, shout out to you. You're most definitely appreciated. Shout out to you. Real time, shout out to you. Vibrations, real eyes, real talk. Absolutely. Shout out to you. You know, one thing I realized as well, one thing you've got to remind yourself of is that there's a reason why right now anything that's to do with consciousness is trending. Cat Williams went on Shannon Sharp, 50 million views. Right? There's a reason why Infinite Waters 432 Hertz, 6 million views. There's a reason why consciousness is trending right now. And you're going to see it like this as time goes on. It's just going to grow and grow because people right now want to find out the truth. Even a lot of people who are in the spotlight, they're also diving deep. Because you see, part of the levels about human beings is all about knowledge, you know, and the people who have the knowledge control the world. So if you have the knowledge, you have the power. And this is the reason why it's always been about the knowledge and then the wisdom, knowledge applied. But you have to remind yourself, now we're in a time where you want to be in the know. You want to find out what's happening. And this coincides with the information age. This is the reason why you have ChatGPT. This is the reason why you have so much information right now readily available. And you have to have that discernment to find out the truth. But it's a sign that this is the time to be in the know. There was a time on the planet where the information was only for a few. Now, if you want it, you can find it. You can get it. So we have to get out of a limited mindset, limited belief that keeps us away from the greater knowledge that can really free us from everything holding us back. A lot of people right now, shout out to everyone who's here. Deep divers, smash the like button, share the video. It's good to be back. We never left anyway. Tired of YouTube, shout out to you. You most definitely appreciate it. Tired of YouTube. What do you think about Irina Zaruska stabbing case? That's a great question, right? So obviously it's a tragedy. Woman sitting on a train attacked. Should never happen. But you got to remind yourself that all of these things are symptoms. Society needs help. Society needs healing. And you know, condolences to her family. In this time, you can only just realize that people need love on the planet. People need love, not hate. And the more people can be in that love frequency, the less of these things will happen. Right? Because once again, even what happened with Charlie Kirk, right? Hate breeds all kind of negative vibrations. And you got people going at each other. You got people warring with each other. You got Israel saying, hey, we must finish what we're doing. And Netanyahu was in the UN conference and a lot of people walked out of the conference. Did you see that clip, deep divers? A lot of people walked out of the conference, the UN conference. You know, he was giving his speech. A lot of, you know, leaders just left. But it shows you that a lot of people are starting to wake up. And that's the good news. People are saying, actually, we have to stop all of this nonsense. But you got to remind yourself, deep divers, that everything, you know, there's an expression that there's nothing new under the sun. No one really knows how old this planet is. What we do know is that everything happens in a cycle. The story of humanity is a story that continuously repeats itself. Heroes and villains. You go to a movie and that's what it's filled of, a protagonist and antagonist. It's the same story. It's the same story. Nothing has changed and nothing will change. You got to find out who you are. Are you the hero? Are you the villain? Are you working for humanity? Are you working against humanity? Because you got to remind yourself, everyone is playing a position and a role which keeps this thing going. And this is the reason why you have to learn the Hermetic principles. The Kabbalion talks about law of polarity, right? So you got to remind yourself that people are never going to agree on something. And people are never going to be the same frequency or the same vibration. There's always going to be hot and cold polarity. So you have to realize it's never going to go away. It's always going to exist. What you have to know is that, what am I vibrating on? That's all you got to know. People are going to be whatever they want to be. Who am I going to be today? That's all that matters. I'm playing my position. What position are you playing? That's all that matters. Right? Because we're in a time right now where some people are like, oh my gosh, this person is so wicked. And that's who they are. Let them be who they are. They'll get what's coming to them. But you got to focus on yourself. You got to focus on who you are, who you want to become, because that's the only thing that matters. But like Martin Luther King said, only love can drive out darkness. So only love can drive out hate. And this is what you have to realize. This is the power that you can actually activate. In the book 1984, George Orwell said, they're afraid of love because love creates a world they cannot control. So the more you vibrate in love, the more you are vibrating on a higher frequency, which is not only going to be beneficial to you and your family, but it's going to be beneficial to the whole planet. If you've noticed, I've never made a video saying I hate this person, I hate that person. Because if I did that, it's going to influence you to hate other people as well. So we've got to remind ourselves that there's no time for foolishness. There's no time to bring people down. I always say, if you are bringing someone down, you're already beneath them. Not only that, if you are bringing someone down, you got a lot of time on your hands. So you got to ask yourself, what am I doing with my time? I could make diss videos about people. What does that say about me, though? So I'm raising the frequency, raising the vibration, because that's what it's always about. 5D Abundance in the house. Let me say thank you to 5D Abundance, always showing up, always supporting the show. You're most definitely appreciated. 5D Abundance, thank you so much. Shout out to you, 5D Abundance. Great to see you here. Gratitude. Thank you so much for sharing. What is a good way to tell if someone is an AI agent and not here to help, just keeping an eye on us? And what should we do? Tons of appreciation and respect. That's a phenomenal question. Phenomenal question. You got to remind yourself, the film The Matrix wasn't just a film, it was a documentary. And Agent Smith is a representation of AI. What Agent Smith could do is what AI can do. AI can trick you, manipulate you, deceive you. And many times someone can be an AI agent when they are inauthentic. They steer you towards the wrong path. That's the reason why you got to be careful who you follow on social media. A lot of people aren't really living, they're not living that life they're showing you. A lot of people aren't living that life they're showing you on social media. So if you are caught up into watching someone's TikTok and thinking that that's their life, but then you meet them, they're living a whole nother life, that's an AI agent. They tricked you into believing something that wasn't even true to begin with. So you got to be careful in realizing that we're in a world where the digital world is the world of illusion, is the fantasy world of make-believe, where people can create false versions of who they really are. And the AI agent can actually use an avatar which is not even them. It's already happening. What if I told you, you've probably seen a video in the last week which is not even real. You've clicked on a TikTok, you've clicked on an Instagram, a YouTube video, and you think this person is real. It's not even a real person. Right now, you got technology where you can have AI avatars which look like real people. You can have voice clones. You can clone someone's voice. You can remix a song. You know, they did Many Men remix. They turned into a blues song. I'm like, wow, this is kind of hard. Hits hard, but it's crazy. You can do so much with AI. So it's there to really manipulate. That's what AI does. It manipulates. It can also be a great tool, but once again, you got to be careful that if someone calls you, there was even an article how old people are getting scammed. They pick up a phone call and it's not even their bank. They think it's their bank. It's not even their bank. It's someone else trying to scam them out of money, right? So you got to be careful that not everything you see on the internet is real. You got to verify who people are, you know, just like the blue tick on Instagram. You got to verify who people are, because right now you don't even know who people are. If you haven't seen who they are, over time, anyone can be anyone. You got profiles right now you got videos on YouTube which are faceless videos. You know, sometimes you see those YouTube videos, just narration, and you're like, oh, I like the voice of them. It's not even their voice. You can just have an AI voice script, does the whole video for you. And you have a lot of YouTube channels, they don't even show their face, and they got thousands of subscribers, hundreds of thousands. AI channel. You got a lot of AI channels out there, right? So you got to be careful. Great question. Shout out to you. But you have to realize that we're in this kind of time right now where AI is becoming indistinguishable from reality. We're in a time right now where AI is becoming indistinguishable from reality. And this is the reason why it has begun. It's not slowing down. It's only getting more sophisticated. So it's up to people all around the world. It's up to everyone to say, actually, what am I going to do about it? And what you can do about it is actually show who you are. Because you see, the benefits of being a human being right now in a world of AI is phenomenal. Let me say that again. The benefits of being a human being right now in a world of AI is phenomenal. The leverage you have being a human being is phenomenal, because most people aren't even showing up. You don't even realize that this is the best time to show up. This is the best time to start a YouTube channel, because you see, everyone is moving towards AI. And a lot of people aren't sharing their authentic journey. People want to hear real voices. And what you're going to see is that musicians, live music is going to be sky high. If you can play an instrument, people are going to go to concerts. It's already happening, but they're going to pay a lot of money just to go and hear real musicians. It's already happening, because you see, as the world turns into a synthetic version of itself, people want to hear something classical, something real, right? So if you are someone who's a natural artist, this is your time, right? Just a city girl showing some love. You're most definitely appreciated. Thank you so much. I am a truth teller. I don't play other people's games. I lovingly truth bomb to plant a seed of growth. Even if they hurt me, I don't play or talk small. Then I keep my distance. That's powerful right there. You know, a lot of people don't realize that what Just a City Girl is saying is so powerful, because, you know, there's a saying that blessed are the truth tellers, right? Blessed are the truth tellers. If you have the ability to tell the truth and not be a people pleaser, not only do you get more respect, but you get more protection, right? I've been speaking my truth, and I'm still here, and I'm always going to be here, because you see, truth tellers are always protected. And you got to remind yourself that it's people who are suppressing who get hurt the most. It's people who go to work Their work colleagues don't even know the real them. Those are the people who get hurt the most. You know why? Because depression is suppression. People who are able to express themselves, they free up all of these energetic blocks. They can sleep real good because they're letting it all out. People who suppress, because you got to remind yourself, deep divers, that there are so many people who are starting to wake up, but they don't say anything. You will never know, but they're listening in, even on this live stream. Let me repeat that. There are so many people who are starting to wake up, but you would never know because they never say anything, but they're listening in. And this is why I always say, never think you know who someone is, because a lot of people right now on this planet are a lot more deep than you think they are. It's just that they're not expressing what they know to you because they don't know how you will take it. They think you might judge them. But a lot of people are more awake than you can ever imagine. So you got to realize that people are ready for the truth. People want to hear your truth. People want to hear your opinion. They want to know what you really think because now you've freed yourself. People who hide the truth for themselves, they end up prisoners. They go to their grave and they're full of anger because they didn't live their truth out properly. So you got to remind yourself that the freest people right now on the planet are the people who are able to speak their truth. The healthiest people on the planet right now are the people who are able to speak their truth because they're transparent, right? What you see is what you get. There's no games, right? So Just a City Girl, what you're doing is super phenomenal. Shout out to you. Yamato Grace, thank you so much. You're most definitely appreciated. Yamato Grace, shout out to you. Thank you so much for supporting the show, and it's good to see you back. How would you create peace with the people from a different tribe? So much appreciation and respect. Love to all the deep divers. That's a phenomenal question. How would you create peace with the people from a different tribe? Let me tell you this, that you have to remind yourself that you create peace by creating peace within yourself. You see, once again, I always say that everything that's been happening in the world lately is people not being able to control their internal condition. When you're not at peace with yourself, you're always going to be at war with your neighbor. When you are not at peace with yourself, you're always going to be at war with your neighbor. So if you want to create peace with the other different tribe, you got to be at peace with yourself first and foremost. And you got to remind yourself that it's okay to disagree. You can agree to disagree, right? I don't agree with some people I like, even though I like them, but sometimes I don't agree with them. I say it's okay. So you got to remind yourself, you got to have peace within yourself. You see, a civilization can only thrive with people coming together and honoring other people's perspectives and realizing it's okay for someone else to have a different perspective than themselves. For instance, you got some people who say, hey, I only eat meat 24/7. I'm on a meat diet. I say, okay, that's you. It's not, whatever you're doing, go for it. You got to remind yourself that you got to be able to live and let live. Just don't kill anyone. Don't destroy what you can't create. But you see, a lot of people haven't got peace within themselves, so they start becoming at war with another tribe, right? So you got to focus on your lane, focus on yourself, and realize that That's where it starts internally. Phenomenal question. Yamato Grace always coming with these wonderful questions for us to dive deep. So as I was saying, get out before it's too late. Deep divers, it has begun. The digital IDs are rolling out. AI is becoming more sophisticated. You have a limited amount of time before it's too late. Before AI controls you. Every aspect of your life. And a lot of people, they were laughing a few years ago. Now they're not laughing anymore. They're starting to realize, oh my gosh. Because once you remind yourself that people like George Orwell, he was a member of the Fabian Society. So was Aldous Huxley. These were people who had information of the occult. They were linked to Freemasonry and secret societies. And they could see where the world was heading because they had inside information from their societies. So when Orwell was writing 1984, he wasn't just writing a science fiction book or a novel. He was writing what was coming because he knew what was being planned for humanity. So I always recommend people to read 1984 and also realize that you have an opportunity to create a whole new earth because it can only happen with your consent. It can only happen with your approval. It can only happen when you agree to it. And you see, the film Get Out, there's a great film called Get Out, Jordan Peele. And it was all about going into a sunken place. And all of us can go into a sunken place where we become someone who really is out of our true power. Once you get caught up in that sunken place, you got to get out as quick as possible. And how do people get trapped in a sunken place? By being hypnotized. That's what the woman was doing to that guy on the chair in the film, right? Get Out. Saying sink into the chair, he was doing that. So you got to remind yourself that you're in a world where you have to realize you're going to be put into a sunken place unless you get out before it's too late. All of these films coming out, even the film Sinners, I broke it down, that there are vampires out there. And in a way, AI is a kind of vampire because it's stealing your orgone energy, stealing your energy, is stealing your life force energy. How many times have you been tired just staring at a phone screen? How many times have you been tired just staring at a phone screen? But your phone is still 80% battery, but you're 30%. Your phone could be recharged. The question is, are you going to recharge yourself? That's the question. Let me tell you, this is a slow motion. This is a slow motion. Most people will recharge their phones without recharging themselves. Slow motion this side. I said most people will recharge their phones before they recharge themselves. One more time. Most people will recharge their phones before they recharge themselves. What is this telling you? It's showing you that a lot of people are putting AI on the altar. They're putting their phone, they're deifying their phone. They want to make sure they don't get a scratch on their phone. They don't mind if they get a scratch on their arm, but you can't get a crack on your phone screen. So every now and again, I always remind myself that this technology ain't nothing. I ain't going to worship an iPhone. I'm not going to worship technology because, to be honest, it's supposed to be your servant. But a lot of people are like, hey, I got an iPhone 17. I'm so cool. Not realizing that you are more powerful than an iPhone. your DNA is a biological internet. Once you tap into that, you can outperform any iPhone in the world. So people have to start realizing that you have to find out what your brain can do. The ancients could do telepathy, telekinesis. They could do all kinds of things because they were activating the junk DNA. They were activating their whole brain. And they were doing phenomenal things. How did they build the pyramids? People still don't know because they were activating their junk DNA. They were becoming superhuman. We all have that ability, but we won't if we're always worshiping an iPhone, right? So I always say, we got to get out before it's too late. It has begun. Right now, you got to remind yourself that children are just being born right now. All they know is an iPad, an iPhone, TikTok. That's all they know. So technology is not really for you. It's for the young ones. And they're going to be pulled into a digital world where that's going to be the real world. And you got to remind yourself, if you have a son or daughter, take them to the park. Because if you just leave them on a device, you're going to come back home. They're not going to be the same. Because the thing is now, children are consuming more information and their brains are changing. And because of this, they're feeling like they're missing something. Have you noticed that? A lot of children are like, hey, I want that as well. Because they see their friends have got it on social media. They want it right now as well. So now children are like, actually, you got young teenage girls saying, hey, I want to be like Kim K. I want her butt. I want this. I want that. I want a lip filler. You got all of these things because people are now comparing themselves to other people more than ever. Social media wasn't created to unite you. Social media was created to divide you. Let me repeat that. Social media wasn't created to unite you. Social media was created to divide you. The people who created Facebook, they didn't even allow their children to use Facebook. The people who created Apple didn't even allow their children to use Apple for a reason, because they realized that these things can be nefarious in nature if they go unchecked. So a lot of people, there's a reason why on X, when you go on X and you have a trending topic, you see a lot of arguments back and forth, back and forth. It's not a place of love. It's a place of war. You got people who literally want to lash out at people, cuss people out. It's a toxic environment. And that's been done by design. So you got to remind yourself, you can use social media to connect, but you got to use it in the right way, because a lot of it is going to make you compare yourself to other people, compete with other people, tear each other apart, right? So you got to pay attention. Real time shout out to you. Oh, yes. Man, you got them special glasses on, they live. Shout out to you. And you got to take watch the film They Live. That's a powerful film. And that's the beauty of it. You got to remind yourself that it's all about the special glasses. You got to make sure you got the special glasses on to see everything that's happening. One of the big things that's happening, and this ties into the theme of getting out before it's too late, it has begun, is that people, for the first time in human history, are now outgrowing the program. People are now outgrowing the program. People are now outgrowing their society. People are now outgrowing their tribe they were born into. And this is creating a big problem on the planet, because now this is the reason why so much is happening, because people are saying, wait a second, I want a different life right now. Wait a second, I got another piece of information. So it's changing the trajectory, the course of people's lives for the better, but it's creating a huge disruption in society, because people are now outgrowing. People don't want to settle down. They don't want to put up with it. They don't want to tolerate it. They don't want to say, hey, okay, I'll just live this life. Too much information right now. And once you know, it's very hard to not know. It's very hard to not know. Once you know, it's very hard to not know. Once your eyes have opened and seen something, it's very hard to unsee it. That's what's happening right now on the planet. People, you might have seen a documentary. You're like, oh my gosh. You might have read a book, seen one of my videos, seen someone else's videos, read a post, gone on the website. You got this whole nother way of seeing the world. This is the time we're in right now. It's too much information. And that's the good news. But this is a reason why things are breaking down very quickly. And the reason why the only way the inorganic ones can control things is by making everything digital. Because the physical society is crumbling. The institutions are crumbling. The only last hope they have is the metaverse. That's the only salvation. And a lot of people are plugging up and plugging in. But there are those who are saying, actually, ain't nobody got time for that. So I always, even myself, even when I use this technology, I'm always realizing it's a trap. You don't want to rely on it to do every single thing for you. You don't want to be comparing yourself to other people. You don't want to also believe it's all real. You know, Facebook, for example, when you go on Facebook, it shows you people's stories. So immediately you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out on something. But that's the illusion. Most of these people aren't even living a good life that they're showing on Facebook. But they want to show you things to say, oh, hey, look at me, right? So they know that if they can get people competing, now it keeps people trapped and locked into the platform. So you got to remind yourself that you have to get out while you can, because a lot of people right now are caught up in division, hating each other, trash talking each other. And people have to wake up and see, right? But like I said, get ready for a lot to happen within the next few months. Because things, as time is moving so quickly, there's only a small amount of time they have it to put everything in place. So there's a reason why they announced digital IDs. There's a reason why it seems like ChatGPT, a new version, is coming out every single couple of months, because things are moving quickly. By 2030, you're going to have cars that drive you around, no driver, driverless cars. It's already happening. Waymo. Taxis are going to go out of business. AI is going to replace your jobs. Already, it can already replace most jobs out there. So human beings are going to be obsolete. Human beings are going to take a back seat. AI is going to do everything. Eventually, you're going to have an AI government. That's the whole, that will be in place by 2050. You'll have AI governing everything. So what seemed like science fiction is actually science now. It's happening right now. What we can all do about it is hold on to your humanity as much as possible, connect with real people, meet real people, and really realize that reality is about your vibration. Let me repeat that. Reality is about your vibration. If you can every single day, raise your vibration. Do your sun salutations every single day. Stay in a high frequency, a high vibration. You're literally creating an alternative timeline. Let me repeat that. If you can raise your frequency and vibration, you are literally creating an alternative timeline. And this is what a lot of people are doing right now. You got to create your own secret universe. You got to create your own secret reality. You got to do things which a lot of people aren't doing, but you're raising the frequency, raising the vibration. Because if you're not doing that, you're going to be trapped into this. You got a choice to do this, or a choice to be in that. Choice is yours, right? So a lot is happening. Great things are happening. Crazy things are happening. Beautiful things are happening. Awful things are happening. Magnificent things are happening. A lot is happening. And the cat down the road hasn't even had breakfast yet. Deep divers. Shout out to everyone who's here, right? But we have to remind ourselves that, pay attention to the old the old Star Trek series. Go and watch Star Trek, because they're showing you things which are happening right now. Go and watch Star Trek. Go and watch 2001 Space Odyssey. All of these things, it's going to make you scratch your head, say, oh my gosh, how did they know that was coming? So we've been warned. We've been told that these days would come, and they're finally here. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I know what I'm doing about it. I'm doing a little samba, baby. But what are you doing about it? That's the only question. One thing you have to realize as well, deep divers, get out before it's too late. It has begun. And this is what I realize is that you have to be careful about numbers. Everything is inverted. You've heard the expression, the numbers don't lie. But the numbers do lie, though, because the numbers can be manipulated through the algorithms. This is what you have to understand. Numbers can lie in the new world, and they will lie, and they are lying through the algorithm. Sometimes you see a video on TikTok, it got 50 million views. You're like, how did that happen? On YouTube, 100 million views. How did that happen? Because it's being pushed by the algorithm. They can push what they want to push, and they can suppress what they want to suppress on the algorithm. When YouTube first started, it wasn't like that. That's the reason why a lot of conscious channels, they still do, but you had conscious channels getting 30 million views, 40 million views. It still happens, but I'm just saying now they're controlling the algorithm more to make sure the truth doesn't get out there. So you got to remind yourself that when you're dealing with AI, numbers can be manipulated. Sometimes you're seeing an X stream and it's got 20,000 people watching. But what if I told you 18,000 are bots? You can buy subscribers, buy views, buy all of that. So you got to remind yourself with AI, it can also be manipulated. So you got to not take everything at face value and realize that what's the vibration like? Don't be all bamboozled and impressed by the view count, because that's all an illusion. Because you can make someone a star just by giving them 1 million views, and you're like, oh my gosh, let me follow this person. So this is how they can create people that they want you to follow through the algorithms. So you got to be careful, right? I'm just grateful that, I was able to see this back in the day. And I was really at the golden age of YouTube when, everything was free. Now things are a lot different, but still, we're still getting the truth out there. But it's all about you realizing that you have to be able to outsmart the algorithms. we're in a time right now where more and more truth is going to be revealed. Absolutely. 2006, 2009, best years of YouTube. Absolutely. I wasn't even there on YouTube like that in those years. I posted a video when I went to Brazil on YouTube 2008. But I really started to dive deep in 2012, 2013. And, you know, those times on YouTube, that was a fun time. That was a fun time. Who remembers 2015, 2016? Because the internet was a lot different. So what I'm telling you is that the internet is not going to be how it's always been. Things are going to change. Once upon a time, people didn't need passports. Let me repeat that. Once upon a time, people didn't need passports. If you wanted to travel somewhere, you just book a ticket. But then there were more restrictions. Same is coming with the internet. And that's the reason why digital ID is all part of it. So you got to remind yourself that in the future, you'll log in with your digital ID. And this is the reason why it's not here yet 100%. And the only way to get out is to make sure that you are getting a message out there to your fellow human beings that you better wake up. Wall-E, absolutely, another film they were telling you. Is the digital ID the mark? Absolutely. You know, this has all been spoken about. So you got to remind yourself that we don't want to leave with a feeling of helplessness. We want to remind ourselves that the power is ultimately in your hands. It's always been. The power is ultimately in your hands. It's always been and always will. But the question is, are you going to wake up? There's a film called Control Factor. I think it's called Control Factor. Go and check it out. A film called Control Factor. And it was showing how everyone has a digital ID. They can be pulled up in a whole network and they can be erased in just a click. But it's a powerful film. And when you bring up their digital ID, it shows their whole information, who they are, where they are, what they eat, what they like, what they don't like. So it's crazy, right? So we're in a time right now where a lot is happening and a lot more is going to happen, but you have to remind yourself not to be divided. You got to remind yourself that this is a time where you don't want to fall for the okie doke. The people who control this realm are not people. They're forces. Let me repeat that. The people who control this realm are not people. They're forces. And just like in The Lord of the Rings, you got good forces. You got a good wizard, Gandalf. You got the other one who's the bad wizard. You got different frequencies and different forces on the planet. You got people who want to help humanity. And you got people who want to destroy humanity. So you have to remind yourself which side you're on, because you're in a spiritual war right now. You're in a spiritual war right now. It's not going to stop. That's what The Lord of the Rings was all about. You think these films are just created for fun? And they're creating a new one soon. But Lord of the Rings is showing you everything that's happening right now. One ring to rule them all. And this is what it's all about. If you have one ring, in other words, one digital grid, you can literally control billions of people at once. So that's what The Lord of the Rings is all about. It's about Sauron, right? Lord of the Ring. Who can control everything? ChatGPT, Sam Altman. Pay attention. Deep divers, smash the like button right now if you support The Real. Share the video. Benjamin Barker, shout out to you. You're most definitely appreciated. Benjamin Barker, shout out to you. Mentor, thank you again. Do you have any advice on how to find your soul tribe? I'm alone, diving deep for 10 years now. It feels is becoming too rough? That's a phenomenal question. Once again, do you have any advice on how to find your soul tribe? I'm alone, diving deep for 10 years now. It feels it's becoming too rough. That's a great question. I always say, if you want to find your soul tribe, you got to start to put yourself out there. Make a YouTube video, make a TikTok video. TikTok is not always, when I go on TikTok, I realize that there are some amazing creators on TikTok. And that's why I don't knock TikTok, right? Because TikTok is a great app. If you use it in the right way, you can find some great other like minds. Message them in the DM. Say, hey, let's meet up. Let's talk. Let's talk about this. Because you have so many creators, even on YouTube. Send them a message. Talk to them, and it's going to be fantastic. But you have to be willing to reach out. A lot of people aren't willing to reach out. I had to do that, and I love doing it. And that's the reason why Infinite Waters is what it is, because I had to realize that we can't do this all by ourselves. And that's the gift of live streaming. Every week I'm doing live streams because I got to stay in touch with the community. It's not just about me posting a video. It's about me talking to all of you in real time. And if you want to find your soul tribe, ask yourself today, what am I doing to put myself out there? What am I doing to put myself out there to show people I'm available to be reached? You can contact me. Do I have a website? Do I have a YouTube channel? Because all of this social media, this is the new CNN, ABC, BBC. These platforms are how you're going to find other people as well, because a lot of people are on the internet. They might be in Spain, might be in South Africa. Your soul tribe is not just local to where you are. It could be 5,000 miles away. So you have to put yourself out there, find them by creating something which they can resonate with, and then you'll find your soul tribe. Phenomenal question. Right? So, and that's big, because a lot of people right now, they sometimes ask that as well. Where can I find my soul tribe? Where can I find like minds? And you got to remind yourself they're out there. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And you have to realize that a lot of people right now are caught up. A lot of people are caught up. They're in a job somewhere, working a life that they never have time. So your soul tribe will be on a similar journey to yourself. So you have to make sure you're showing up for them. You can't be at work 24/7 and expect to find your soul tribe. It's not going to happen. Let me repeat that. You can't be at work 24/7 and expect to find your soul tribe. Environments matter. Environments matter. There's a reason why a lot of people are going to Bali. A lot of people are going to Bali because there are a lot of other people who have a similar mindset as themselves. So they meet their soul tribe there. They go to Mexico. They go to Ghana. They go to other places around the globe to meet other like minds. But if you're in an environment, New York City, it's always polluted, a lot of noise, a lot of traffic. Ain't nobody got time to make a soul tribe. They don't have time for that. So you got to ask yourself, am I in the right environment to even make a soul tribe possible? So you got to make time, because a lot of people in these cities all around the world, they don't have time. No time to even, I was born in London. In London, everyone is busy. You don't even have time to talk to people. You can't find a soul tribe. You can find people, but both of you are going to have time to make time to say, okay, let's meet up on Sunday. Let's meet up on Wednesday. If you don't do that, forget about it. Because everyone wants to go somewhere fast. They don't have time to start talking for an hour. They got to go to work. So you got to realize that soul tribes can only happen in the right environment. And that's the reason why a lot of people have to get out before it's too late, because your soul tribe will find you when you are willing to move to the right environment to find them. Let me repeat that. Your soul tribe will find you when you are willing to move to the right environment to find them. And, that's why I said a lot of people right now are starting to realize this, right? To realize that our soul tribe is not just on the internet, but it's also in a physical location. We might have to travel somewhere around the world to get there, more than likely. And we're going to have to leave behind a world. We're going to have to leave behind a lifestyle, leave behind your neighborhood that you were born in. You're going to have to let go of that. Go and find your soul tribe. Hop on a plane somewhere, right? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to book a flight right now? Let's go. Benjamin Barker, thank you very much. Thank you too. Truth and wisdom, shout out to you. You're most definitely appreciated. So we got to remind ourselves right now that we got to get out while we can. A lot of people right now are feeling alone. A lot of people are like, gosh, Ralph, where's my soul tribe? Where's the other people who are just like me? And you have to realize that you have to be willing to venture into the unknown, to go and find them. I've traveled to a lot of countries and I've met amazing like minds. I didn't even imagine I would meet them in Cape Verde Islands, Hawaii, all over the world, Sierra Leone, all over the world, right? Germany, doesn't matter where it is. You're going to meet different people who are just like you the moment you go out there, the moment you make space. Let me say a shout out to Chance Green in the house. You're most definitely appreciated. Chance Green, yo, we in it. Shout out to you. Love you, Ralph. I appreciate that. You're most definitely appreciated. And, I realize right now that the world we're in right now is changing so fast that it's up to all of us to pay attention to everything that's happening. We have to pay attention to everything becoming digital. Are we going to blindly become digital as well? Are we going to blindly become digital as well? Or are we going to say, actually, right now, I'm going to actually honor myself, honor my humanity, right? So we got to make a choice, because what's happened is that people have forgotten about nature. People have forgotten about other people. That's the reason why people are more concerned with the latest phone than other people. The latest phone can get a video with a view count of 30 million views. iPhone 7, review of it, right? But when it comes to helping someone else, no one cares. So you got to remind yourself that when you glorify technology to the point where people are so infatuated with it, it now becomes your master. And this is why I told you, get out while you can. I used to be so into tech, buy the latest cameras, all of this stuff. Then I realized it was all a trap. Because the thing is, even if you buy the latest camera, the next year, there's another one. The year after that, there's another one. You got the latest phone now. Next year, it's another one and another one. So you're always behind. You're always behind and that's the whole design. And that's how these corporations become so wealthy, because you got a fear of missing out. And it's never enough. Even if you have the iPhone 16, you're like, oh my gosh, that's old right now. I want the iPhone 17, right? So you gotta be careful. What I will tell you is that great things are happening, and we've all got to keep our vibration high, keep our frequency high. But you do have to realize that we're in a time where a lot is going to happen as well, because this digital ID was introduced even in the UK because of immigration, right? Because of immigration. So once you remind yourself that you can see that if you are continually arguing with yourselves, you will always get an answer, because that's the justification. Why are we having digital ID? Well, because of immigration. So you have to realize that that was the whole plan to begin with. Immigration is not an issue, but it's been created to be one by design. So you have to realize that eventually, when you remind yourself, that's how it always works. Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, immigration, reaction, get them out of our country. Solution, digital ID. Problem, reaction, solution. So you have to realize that it's all done by design, right? It's all done by design. So you have to pay attention to that problem, reaction, solution. And there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn that we all don't know about. I'm still learning. But what I do know is that I don't know a lot. That's what I do know. And once you realize that you know a tiny amount of what there is to know, you can now become your greatest version. How many of you realize that actually there are things you don't know? There are things you know you don't know, and there are things you don't know you don't know. Let me repeat that. How many of you out there know that there are things you don't know, there are things you know you don't know, and there are things you don't know you don't know? Deep divers. Right? So we got to remind ourselves we know only a tiny amount. There is so much more to learn about this reality, how it works, what's really happening. And this is what life is all about. So getting out before it's too late offers us that opportunity. It offers us that opportunity to find out what's really happening, what's really going on. Because if you don't question what on earth is happening, you're going to wake up one day and everything around you is going to change. And it's changing fast. One thing that we have to remind ourselves of is that there is a lot of hope, because every single human being represents a co-creator. And this is what can really lift humanity up. Every single human being out there represents a co-creator. And the secret is to activate the power. Just like in the film Superman, you have kryptonite. You got forces which want to stop your energy. So you have to be able to block out that kryptonite and raise the frequency, raise the vibration. And like I said, if you are around for the golden age of YouTube, congratulations. Because that's when the information was really coming out. That's when it was really coming out. There were videos on YouTube, which I don't see anymore. But that was a time when information was really coming out. Great documentaries, all of these things about the Matrix and all of the nature of reality. And that was the time to be soaking it all up. That was the time to really be taking it all in, because the floodgates were open. And now it's still here, but it's changed. And now is a window of opportunity to really get out while you can. Because the thing is, when things go digital, there is nothing physical. Everything is going to be on a hard drive, on an SD card, including you. Right? And this is why a lot of people are concerned, because once everything is in a database, you can be denied access from certain places. There can be a breach there could be a breach of privacy, right? A breach of privacy, right? A breach of privacy. Your information could be hacked. All of these things could happen. That's the reason why people are concerned. So right now, I always say, choose love over everything. What gives me so much hope is that there are millions of people right now waking up, millions of people right now finding out the truth, and it's not going to stop. It can't stop. But you have to be very careful not to get caught up in sides, not to get caught up arguing amongst each other, because a lot of people don't realize there's no time for that. You know, a lot of people right now are starting to say, okay, what's the world going to be like by 2030? It's not even about human beings anymore. Now we're moving into AI. We're moving into AGI. We're moving into a whole new world. People haven't even got a clue about. Like I said in the beginning of this show, what happened to CDs? Where are the CDs right now? It's gone. Everything is digital. You want to hear a song? Go to Spotify. Go to iTunes. So people don't realize that things are slowly moving towards a digital universe. And there's only a small amount of time for you to get out before it's too late. I've told you about the 3D, 5D split. And get out and go where? This is global. That's a good question. But you got to remind yourself that, and even myself included, you know, there's people who are getting out into nature. There are people who are now prioritizing community. And that's what I'm doing. And that might be the last hope. Otherwise, we're going to be cooked. Cat down the road said, Ralph, you're going to be cooked unless you find the community, connect with the community. Otherwise, it's going to be too late, Ralph. Oh my gosh, cat down the road, don't scare me. Right? So once again, it's love over everything. Life is good. Life is beautiful. Great things are happening. We got to keep the vibration high. And, you know, I'm excited. I'm excited because I now know that millions of people are waking up. And XYZ, I like that. Consciousness can never be digital, right? So long as people are in their true power, great things happen. Great things happen. But the question is, do you have the energy? That's what it all boils down to. Do you have the energy? Because if you're always on your phone, your energy is going to get sucked out of you. I could have chosen to play video games right now, but I chose to say, actually, let me go live. This is a choice that you have to make every single day. Do I want to watch 5 hours of Netflix, or do I want to spend 5 hours with like minds? That's a choice we all have to make. It's so comfortable watching a Netflix film, a documentary, whatever it is. You sit back, you enjoy, but then you wake up to a digital ID. So we've got a choice to make. And right now, the only way to kind of maneuver out of everything is to make a choice that can empower you for the long term. Delayed gratification, that's what it's called. And the people who are able to kind of do that have the opportunity of creating the new earth. And that's what's happening. Like I said, the truth is, this movement is so big, way bigger than me. I'm just doing me, way bigger than me. And it's growing larger and larger every single day. And there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. The awakening is here, and it's only accelerating. More and more people are awakening. More and more people are finding their power. and there's nothing anybody can do about it, because this has been in the prophecy that even though it will appear that the world is ending, the world is actually beginning and being born again. So it's a phenomenal time to be alive. Anyone who tells you, oh, it's a bad time, they don't know what they're talking about. The reason why it's a great time is because humanity has never had a greater chance to stand up in their true power. And it's happening. A lot of parents homeschooling their children. A lot of people reading more different books, getting different information, listening to podcast shows. We're in the information age, baby. This is the time for it. For a long time on this planet, there was no YouTube, no information. Everything was controlled. Now, information is out there. But what's happening is that they want to close it down again. And this is the reason why you have to hold on to being as free as you can, and also getting the right information. Get as much information as you can, because that's going to be your saving grace. Deep divers, I just wanted to share this short message with you. And it was a perfect message for us all to dive into, because there are so many great deep divers out there. I want to say a thank you to everyone who's been here, everyone who's diving deep. And like I said, get out before it's too late. It has begun. A lot of people right now are starting to see it. And a lot of people are really going to start to see it as time goes on. Great things are happening. But be careful about comfort, because comfort, i.e. phones and technology and TikTok, all of that, if you're not using it to kind of empower yourself, it's only going to distract you from where you're meant to be. So we got to remind ourselves the internet is powerful, but don't allow yourself to get sucked up into it, into the metaverse. Purple Aquarius, let me say a big thank you to Purple Aquarius showing some love. Let me give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. Purple Aquarius, 6 shout out to you. Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate you. I'm thoroughly enjoying Feel Alive 2. And that's what it's about. Like I said, deep divers, go and check out the brand new book, Feel Alive 2. Unlock Your Infinite Power by Ralph Smart. The secret recipe to becoming your greatest version. 500 pages, 10 years in the making. The Bible of becoming your greatest version. Hey, you're going to love it, because I'm not just making videos. I'm writing as well, because I realized that some people don't see my videos. Some people don't watch videos. So I said, okay, I got to put it in a book format. Some people don't even read. So I said, okay, I got to get the audio book. We got the audio CD. We got the audio. So when you can realize that people are consuming information in different ways, not just through video. Some people are reading. Some people are just audio. Different ways. So I'm reaching people on all those levels. And I'm so happy, Purple Aquarius, it resonated with you. Feel Alive, baby. Feel Alive Part 3 is coming soon. Get ready for it. Gonna blow you out of the water. Deep divers. Let me say a big shout out to TJ77 coming in. Let me say a thank you so much.
Dom DeMarco.
TJ777 Digital Illusion credits for you. Thank you for all your videos. They have meant a lot to me. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. And it's so good just to see people, on their own journey, manifesting what they came here to manifest, and becoming empowered. Because like I said, A lot of people watch my videos. They get information. I also get information from your videos, from other people's videos, right? So we're in a time right now where we've got to realize that the world is shifting very quickly, and it can be anything you want it to be, but timelines are splitting. There is going to be a version of reality where everything is digital and you will be controlled. And there is also going to be another timeline where everyone is free, eating a whole bunch of grapes, guavas, papayas, living a great life. The question is, what are you going to choose? So, like I said, there was a series I grew up watching called The Tribe, an Australian series, right? And I think it was called The Tribe or something like that. But it was showing everything that's happening right now. Powerful. When you remind yourself that they've been telling you in the films, they've been telling you in the television series of all of these things that are happening right now. Society is being split. There are people who are going to love everything to do with the digital world. They're going to be in it. They're never going to come out. They're going to merge with artificial technology, artificial intelligence, because it's going to grant them immortality. That's going to be the catch. And that's the reason why there's a push for AI, because a lot of these billionaires, they want to hold on to their money. They want to live forever. And they can only do that in a digital universe. They can only do that in a digital universe. So you gotta go and watch the film Elysium. Watch the film Elysium, where you have all of these billionaires who are, they want to live forever. And this is what's happening on the planet, because they realize the only way they can do that is by fusing with artificial intelligence. Now, don't get it twisted. Artificial intelligence is going to give great scientific breakthroughs. That's what it's good for. But at the same time, it's also going to be used to control people. So right now, you have to be aware of that, and you have to be awake, because what seems like a great thing can turn out to be the greatest trap in the world. But, great things are happening when you realize how many people like TJ777 are awake and aware in their power. And that's what it's always about. One thing you got to remind yourself of is that a lot of the media right now is having a big problem. A lot of the news is having a big problem because the media is losing its grip on people. Legacy media is not what it used to be. Now people are questioning the media, questioning headlines more than ever before. So this is a sign that a monumental awakening is happening. XYZ, thank you. We are the media. That's the great thing. So you have to make sure that you got to get out before it's too late. How you get out is, instead of watching the news, make a video. Because now you are, like XYZ said, you are the media. And to everyone, I always suggest have a podcast show, have a presence online via media, because if you do that, you can now influence other people in a better way. And people are doing that. You got a lot of people who have a podcast show, a lot of people live streaming, a lot of people uploading videos on TikTok. Fantastic. Amazing. Because now people are watching TikTok videos for information. And it's fantastic because now you can watch your next door neighbor, you can watch your best friend or whatever it is, and they're talking about things you enjoy. And now everyone has a voice. And this is how you can actually get out before it's too late. If you don't use your voice, you're going to lose it. So I always say it's so amazing when you are speaking the truth because now anything is possible. Deep divers, to everyone who's been here, I want to say a thank you for joining. Phenomenal show. Smash the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Smash the like button right now if you support the real deep divers. And let me say a big thank you to everyone who's been here. I could go another 4 hours. That's how much energy I've got. But I said, hey, let me just keep it short. 3 hours is short for me. We can go all day, all night, deep divers, but I'll keep it short and sweet. But I want to say a thank you to everyone who's been here. Like I said, it's not about me. It's way bigger than me. It's about humanity right now. You know, humanity is at the crossroads where it has to choose its own destiny and fate. It has to choose where it wants to go, where it wants to be, where you want your children to be, because things are changing very quickly. And mark my words, in the next few years, you're going to see the biggest change you've seen throughout the history of time. I said, mark my words, in the next few years, you're going to see the biggest change you've seen throughout the history of time. Everything is going to happen within the next 3 years. Leading up to 2030. So you better wake up before it's too late. Deep divers. Let's go 80s. I'm so happy. The whole world is just beginning. We already won. It's about us all. So many beautiful deep divers here. It's a choice. So happy to manifest whatever you want, to be whatever you want. It's a choice. Freedom is a must. We have to become the school. Deep divers is choice. It's a choice, deep divers. Much love to all of you. I'll be back. We'll be back. Diving deep once again. Thank you to everyone who's been here. Much love. Peace.